Yoshi. Hey, what's up, you guys? For those of you that don't know, my name is Raine, and welcome back to another episode of Raine's Adventures. The adventure continues. However, my UHC Island series does not continue, and if you saw the episode, I hopefully you saw it, because if not, I just sort of spoiled it. But you should definitely go check it out. Leave a like on the last episode because it was freaking insane. But I'm sort of happy because I have other plans, and now I can sort of focus on this series a bit more. And I'm having a ton of fun thinking about this series, and we're gonna talk a lot about that. This episode here is really gonna be we're gonna work on a small project, but it's really gonna be talking about the future of this series and like my plans for this, because I've just gotten so into it, and it's thanks to you guys too. If you follow me on Twitter, I actually already made this video. Like I've made this video a lot, but I couldn't upload it because the audio is just absolutely terrible. So I didn't upload it, but I did make it, and you guys are amazing. Like, your freaking comments that you left on the last Raine's Adventures videos were top notch, top quality, and I don't know why you guys, some of you guys are like not freaking successful. So I have a few notes. So Yoshi was talking about okay, let me first talk about this project so I can just work on it. We're gonna build a well, and I'll get back to why we're building it, but we had a well and I got rid of it, so we're gonna put it back. I'll talk about that kind of stuff. So anyway, so Yoshi made a comment about doing an armory, right? And I was so like, I was honestly so happy because there was a conversation in my comments, and that usually doesn't happen a whole lot. Like, usually people just sort of say like, oh, hi, good video, and there's really no people getting to know each other, and I want that more. Like, I want to build like a community, and you guys talking to each other, that honestly made my day. So if you guys see another comment that maybe you want to talk to that about, or I guess further the point, please, like, that makes me so happy seeing other people get involved with people. So yeah, just a little comment on that. But I was watching, I was reading this comment. So Yoshi said that we should add an armory, and another person, Kidel, I'm pretty sure it was Kidel responded to that comment saying, well, these guys are just farmers. He said, okay, well, first, like Yoshi said, you guys should add an armory so that these guys can defend themselves, right? These guys should be able to defend themselves. Without it, they're gonna get bullied. And Kidel popped in, and Kidel was like, well, actually, there shouldn't be a well, or they shouldn't be a well. There shouldn't be, that shouldn't be there, or there shouldn't be an armory, because these guys are just farmers. Like, they don't know how to fight, right? Like, they're just lowly farmers that they're just making it by farming, right? And so there was that conversation there, and there was like two very good points. On one hand, should these guys have an armory, because like they do need to defend themselves. At the same time, like, these guys, they're poor. They don't know how to fight. Like, their ancestors didn't need to fight. They farmed the land. And so I thought about that back and forth, and I decided that, yeah, we won't have an armory, but I did come to the conclusion that we should have something. Like, these guys do need to defend themselves. What if something were to happen, like a zombie siege, or I don't know, something? They need to have something. So I feel like we are gonna have some form of protection, maybe like a blacksmith in the town, or actually this town doesn't have a blacksmith. We decided that already. But like something where if something were to go wrong, they have they got something to turn to, like with just pitchforks and just like little, like maybe it's just like ragtag, like an angry mob. And it just made me so happy, because we thought, when we did that, when you guys thought about that, you guys were thinking about the details. You're thinking about, okay, the history, you're thinking about the ins and outs of it, and that is insane, because a normal Let's Play, you wouldn't do that, right? A normal, if you're just building on your own single player, you probably wouldn't do that kind of thing. And I just think that that's so awesome, which brings us to another comment. Kidel, a broken, burned house. He was talking about this. He was talking about this house over here. So he says, hey, don't tear this house down. I need to take a drink because I'm like talking so much. He says, hey, don't tear this house down. This house has character, has story behind it. You know, what happened here? And I thought about that too. It's like, man, that's lore. That is lore right there. That thinking that, okay, we can't tear that down because something happened there. And that's history. And so I tore down every other house as you saw. I tore down every house except for that one because we were going to do that, Kidel. We're gonna make that into a burned, broken building. And we're going to have story behind it. There's going to be a reason as to why it's like that. And I just think that that's just so cool to me, you know? That just really like makes me happy. And we need to do more stuff like that. Story-based stuff. Things that make you think, okay, why is this here? You know? Why do they do stuff like this? Why, or, you know, backstory. And I was thinking about that, and I'm starting to think that maybe I want to turn this series into that type of series. Where we'll build something like this well, and I'm going to tell you history behind it. I'm going to make up a story that goes behind this well, you know? And I think that'll be really cool. I really think that you guys will enjoy that. And I personally think I'll enjoy that too. Thinking of a story behind why I'm doing this. You know? Every little detail should have a backstory as to why it's that way. So this well. Let me start off with this well. And then I'm going to get into the famous comment of the day. Had to take a drink. Frickin' this well. This well was built it was the first thing that was built in this town. And it may not look beat up and rusted and stuff like that, even though it's the oldest, probably the oldest build or the oldest creation in this town. It may not look bad, but it is. On the inside, down there, it's getting really rusted, and we're actually going to show that too. Sometimes the water is so murky that you can't even drink out of it. It is very rare that the people of this city get clean water. That's because this thing has just been it's been used so many times, it's just losing its value. It's just losing its touch. I'm trying to find a crafting table, and I didn't really want to go very far for it. That's called laziness, folks. This well has some secrets, though. And I'm going to add that in later, but this well has got some stories behind it. Underneath this well is actually a hidden chamber where fill in the blank. And that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I want you guys to help me come up with the rest of the story. And I want to get you guys like interacting. I want you guys to think about this kind of stuff too. And you know, I just feel like it's so cool. Because some of you guys are doing like, it makes you think outside of just your classroom, if that makes sense. And that just, I'm just so excited about it. So we got our well. And I don't know how I'm actually going to do this. Because I figured I'd just do it like that. And I don't know if there's actually a water, yeah, there's this right here. There's this water patch right here. Will this work? No, you actually have to do all of it. But what that's going to do is that's going to make it, it's going to make it flowing water down. So getting up, like if I hop in this, it's going to be a pain in the butt. Actually, what I can do is, that should fix it. There you go. Yeah, watch. See how fast I went up? And look how slow I go up? It's because it's water going down. It's not just stagnant water, which sort of sucks. But hey, it's a well. You guys got a well! Now this well, of course, wasn't built first. We just made that up. But we're making up the story as we go. And I like this little well. It looks sort of nice. And I was also thinking of doing stuff like this. Was it like that? I think it was like that. I think it was like that on each side. And then I wanted to do like a lever. Something like that, but it's not going to work. So we'll see. I don't know how I like that. Yeah, that's not too bad. What if I add this? No, that looks bad. Okay, the biggest comment there was, I actually didn't read this whole thing in one sitting. I did go back later and read it because it was so detailed. But I have a lot to elaborate on this one comment by the one and only Logic. If you don't know Logic, he probably leaves the most in-depth comments I've ever seen in any comment section. So we're going to read it. I said that Logic should be a historian because his freaking comment was so detailed, and it wasn't necessarily just, you know, like history and they're like, oh, you should do this and you should do this. It was just general ideas. So he says, this is determined by time and place. I assume the date is 1800s and the place is unlike Earth. For this reason, an existing style is not applicable. And so he says, some additions I advise you consider. And he split it up into natural and human, which I thought was really convenient too. I really appreciate that. So on the natural side, he says we should do more stuff with the geography, like rivers and elevation and making sure that everything is not so flat, which is something I want to do. And I have done that a bit over here. You know, this house being, you know, half and half, and this house being up here. And I also left over here, I left this slope here. I could have easily just butchered that, made that all flat. But I didn't. I do want to do that too, but most of the villages that are, like I said, on this series, we're flipping villages, right? I'm not building my own village, I'm flipping one. So that's why we're not really adding any more roads. Like, that's why I'm not adding a road this way, because I'm flipping a village, you know? And that's very important to, like, what I want to do with this series, because I feel like it's going to be overwhelming if I want to make the village completely new. So I'm flipping them, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to be adding more buildings than what that was already in the village, because, like, this was, like, 2 buildings, right? And I want to have one right here, depending on the church size, actually. But I want to keep the roads. I want to keep it if as small as it was. And actually, while I talk, I want to go up here. I don't know if you guys can tell, I got Optifine, and I think it looks so much better. We're gonna actually take a zoom out. I think it looks, the grass, I love the better grass. That's my favorite thing. That's why I got it, actually. So he talked about geology, and he said, you know, rivers and canyons. I don't want to add a river here for this another purpose. You know, these guys are farmers, and if they had a river, they would be fishermen, and they would have their products sold on the river, right? They would use the river to their advantage. This city has no river, so it can't use the river to its advantage. Does that make sense? So it can't use that. Stuff like caves and evidence of artifacts, I think that's really cool. And in the human aspect, he talked about that too, which I'll show you. But this is sort of what we're looking at. I'm not really high enough to see it, but that sort of sucks. But you get the idea. This farm is going to look really cool once it's like over here, I think. If we get to that point. I don't even know. And then he said like stuff like trees and bushes and tall grass and ferns and roaming animals. And the roaming animals we can't do in this town because these guys are farmers. They don't have roaming animals. All of them are usually kept in a pen. I don't know if you could also tell I added sand. And the reason why I did this is because I actually wanted to utilize dead bushes in this town. But you can't place dead bushes on anything, so I had to put them on sand. And so I just incorporated the sand into the road too. I'm still unsure if it looks good. Let me know. But that's just what I was thinking. And now in terms of human, he made a lot of good points. So he said transportation and communication. So transportation, these guys they travel by horseback, right? And we're going to do a lot of horse breeding probably eventually. But that's how these guys travel. They travel by horseback. And so I have plans to make like a nice barn for these guys and, you know, other stuff like that. They communicate. This isn't the future, right? This is like pretty, this is pretty dated, right? We're not in any 2000s, right? Or even the 1900s. We're pretty dated. So they don't have phones or nothing like that. So they use mail. So we'll probably set up like a post office type thing, and he talked about that later. Then he talked about religion. You know, what about the religion? And we're gonna go really deep into their religion, and I'm gonna talk a lot about that in the episode that we do the church. Okay, so I'll touch on that later. And then he said history, and then this is the thing that really hit me. Okay, excuse me. History. What defines history? Everything is made up of history. You have history. I have history. Our city that you live in, the city you live in has history, and that's so important because history makes us who we are today, right? Without it, we're nothing. We have no background. This place has to have history. Every little detail needs to have some sort of history. We just made history right here. This is history. This well has history, and we're gonna show it too. Like I said, we're gonna show that it has history too, and that's amazing. And so I was thinking, and he left an idea too. What else shows history? The dead. And so in the episode that I recorded prior, I added this graveyard, and I'm not sold on it. I'm probably gonna redo the whole entire thing, but a graveyard. Every single one of these graves are people that have died, villagers that have died, ancestors, and they have history. They have history. He said monuments, people that these people worship, and I thought maybe that would be something that we could talk about in another town. But not in this town, because these guys are just lowly farmers. They don't have anybody that they worship. You know, maybe like a dude who saved the cattle from a burning barn 200 years ago. He's celebrated. I don't know, but they don't have like a great warrior that they idolize. Does that make sense? So all of these were great ideas, okay? And so I have my own idea. We have a lot of monuments, or I guess what am I trying to say? Hold on. Sorry. I'm getting spammed on Skype right now, which is why we're getting a bit framey right now. Okay, are we good? We're good. Okay. Oh, I could have swore. Did I die with it? What did I do with it? Yo, I could have swore I went obsidian mining and I got a ton. Oh, I know what I did with it. So I was thinking, you know, we have a lot of desert temples, and we probably will have a lot of regular temples too, but we haven't found any of the jungle ones. But we do have a lot of desert temples, and I was thinking about that, you know, should we do anything with those? Should we pretty them up and make them look nice, or should we just sort of leave them how they are? Because they're sort of hard to work with. You know, a lot of them are buried in the sand, and they're hard to get to and stuff. And then I was thinking about the Nether, because in the Hardcore Survival Island series, I was in it, and that's when I had this idea. Come on, man. Thank you. We're going to mix. Usually in people's single players, they either have a Nether hub, or they have a one portal, and they don't really pretty it up. They just sort of leave it. Well, we're going to have a Nether hub, but it's not going to be any type of Nether hub. Because a Nether hub is supposed to be convenient, right? It's supposed to make it easy to travel from distance to distance. Our Nether hub is not going to be that way. On purpose. For instance, this is quite a bit of walk. If I want to get to this village, I got to walk a little bit. But I think the coolest idea is having all of the temples linked. And so that's what we're going to do. If this portal even works. This is a weird shape, and I don't know if this will work, actually. We're going to link all of the portals in the temples. Because there's a temple here, there's a temple over there, there's a temple over there, there's one way over there, I'm pretty sure. And that way, there's some supernatural thing about these temples. What are these glyphs? Why is there a portal to a different dimension in this temple? I think that's just a story base that is just really awesome, that we can do so much more with. So I want to know what you guys' opinion about that idea. Whoops, went too far. I had that idea the other day, and that was what I tweeted about, and I just thought that was the coolest idea in the world. But yeah, I did have to add this onto it right here, and we're not gonna go into the Nether yet because I do want to wait a bit, but I wanted to get you guys' opinion. And maybe, I was thinking maybe we have beacons in every single one of these. And I do want to pretty these up a bit. You know, maybe some paintings and pots. Little pots for, you know, events. Or, you know, like just treasure. But yeah, we're going to have all of our portals be linked via the what you call it that I just said. These guys, the ruins. The ruins is what's going to be our mode of transportation. And I feel like that aspect alone is just so cool to think about. So yeah, these are my ideas. You guys have had a ton of great ideas as well. If you have any more ideas, please leave them down below. And tell me what we want to work on next, okay? What is something that I described today that you would really like to see next? It is very difficult for me to just say, okay, we're going to do this today, we're going to do this tomorrow, and that's how it's going to be. Because I have a ton of stuff I want to do. I want to do everything in one day. That's the type of person I am. But I can't. And so I need your help governing what we do on which day, okay? Does that make sense? The hashtag for today is you. I want you to put hashtag your name, your IGN, if you made it to the very end of the video. Because without you guys, this story would have no texture. And you guys are what is making this story better. And I want you to make yourself feel important, I guess, or not. You are important. That sounded terrible. You guys are important, and I want you guys to tell yourself that you're important, because without you, this series wouldn't be anything. So hashtag you, because you made this possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below, and I'll see you guys next episode when the adventure continues.